I called the cops on my Hispanic dad. Let's talk about it. Grab your snacks, grab your popcorn, because this is going to be pretty long. January of 2021, my parents had already been fighting really bad to the point that I had to like get in between them for them to actually stop arguing, because things were getting physical between them. My mom even stayed with me in my room for a couple nights because she did not feel safe around my dad anymore. And that happened for a couple months, all the way towards May of that same year. May 27th, my mom was in my room and we were watching TikToks, and my dad was in his room, and then my brothers were in their room. So my dad knocks on my door and says, "Hey, can I talk to your mom, please?" My mom was like, "Yeah, that's fine. You can just go to your brother's room and check up on them." So that's what I did. They were watching a movie, so I stayed with them and watched the movie for like a good 10 minutes. And then my mom comes into my brother's room and she was holding her wrist. She said, "We're leaving, let's go." Turned out that my dad had kicked my mom out, and obviously like we were gonna leave with her, so we took our dogs and we were outside of the house, and turned out that my dad was actually twisting her wrist, and she did end up calling the cops on him. And I know you're gonna say, "I thought you called the cops." I did, but let me get to the story, okay? So the cops come, it's like 11:30-ish at night, and they come and they take him. Obviously, he gave us that look like, "How could you?" And as soon as we went back into the house, it was just like, it felt better without him, if I'm being honest. Well, a week went by, and my mom tells me that she had a call that my dad reached out and said, "Hey, can I please go and get my truck and my clothes?" My mom, being nice, even though she had a restraining order on him, she said, "Sure, but you only come in for your clothes and your truck, and then you leave." So my dad ends up coming over. It's like around 10:30-ish, almost 11. He was drunk. He was an alcoholic, so it was not really a surprise that he was drunk, because he would drink every single day. Mom was like, "Hey, get your stuff and then just go." And obviously he was drunk and he didn't listen. He basically only came over to beg my mom for him to stay in the house because he was not comfortable in the motel. It took us, literally me and my mom, it took us like almost 2 hours to get him out. If not, then we were gonna have to call the police again. He eventually left, and the next day I had to go to summer school, so my mom had to go to work and my brothers had to stay with my neighbors. They were like our back neighbors, so we were like super close to them. I was already running late because I couldn't find my house keys. I could not find my house keys whatsoever. So I was like, you know what? My mom had like already left. So I told my brothers like, "Hey, I can't find my house keys, and I'm literally running late. So I'm gonna call y'all and y'all gonna come open the door, okay?" And they were like, yeah, okay. So summer school ends like around 12:30, and then I get home. It takes me like 20 minutes. And I call my brothers, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll go open the door, let's go." Now that they were there, they could finally be with me and not my neighbors, right? Literally almost 10 minutes later, I hear a knock on the front door. I had like a window where you can see like the front, so you can't see who's knocking, but you can see like the cars and if there's some people around, but not like at the very front. I saw my dad's truck, and I immediately called my mom because I was like, "What do I do?" I was scared because I had my brothers with me, and obviously like I'm gonna do everything like my brothers to like nothing happened to them. And she was like, "Go back to your neighbors. Go back to your neighbors right now." I told my brothers, "Go get your shoes and let's go." So they managed to leave before me because I was trying to like get them out of the door first. And as soon as I'm like about to go out the back door, the front door opens. He ended up taking my house key the night before. The first thing that he said to me was like, "Hey, why didn't you open the door?" And I told him, "Well, I mean, you're not really supposed to be here." And he said, "I'm just gonna shower and grab like the rest of my things." I eventually like came up with the excuse like, "Oh, my neighbors are calling me, like I have to go." And he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure." I ended up going to my neighbors, and from the night before, we stayed up so late because we were trying to get my dad out of the house, and I had like summer school like in the morning, so I was like tired, right? And I knew, I was like, you know what, I know my brothers are safe here, so I'm gonna take a nap. I took my nap, and that nap ended up taking like 4 to 5 hours. And when I wake up, I look at my phone, and then I was like, oh my god, it's like 5:30, like almost 6. And I was like, oh my god, my mom should be home by now. So I was like, I'm not getting a good feeling. So I immediately called her, and she picked up, but she picked up so I can hear what's going on. And I hear arguing. I immediately sprinted to the house, and my mom, obviously, like, she was crying. She was like looking at him, like they were like arguing, obviously. And then like she kind of went like this, trying to talk to me without my dad trying to see. She said, my room, and I called him. I went outside through the front door. It didn't take that long, and they were telling me like, hey, like, what's going on? And there was 2 officers. One was in the car, and the other one came out and talked to me. When I was telling him, my mom comes out, and she starts like, god, oh my god, he's on the run, he's on the run. And as soon as the officer said that, he sprinted towards like the back of the house. Other officer, he sped around the corner because they were trying to catch him. And next thing you know, there was a ton of cops. Like our whole street was full with cops, and everybody was just like coming out of the houses trying to see what's going on, what happened. After a good 30 minutes, they did end up catching him, and the only reason that they ended up catching him was because of the color of his shirt. He had a neon yellow shirt on, literally this color. I'm not even kidding, like it was this color. The cops did check his truck. I don't know if I can put like the picture, but I'll probably just like cover it. They did find a pew pew. He used to sell, they found Coca-Cola. Yeah, they found that. Later on, found out that while I was sleeping and my dad was taking a shower and grabbing his stuff, he went to my mom's job and waited until she got out and followed her home. And I cannot imagine how scared she was. It really sucks. That happened on my birthday. So that was my 16th birthday present from my father. That was all of how I called the cops on my dad, and he ruined my birthday.
My little sister ran off with my ex, and now she wants an invitation to my wedding where I'm marrying her ex. Yeah, it's messy. About 5 years ago, my little sister started dating, let's call him Grant, and they set me up with Grant's best friend, let's call him Bryce. Growing up, my little sister and I were never that close. She was a brat and horrible to me and got everything she wanted, but because our boyfriends were now best friends, we started hanging out a lot more and started getting closer. Actually, her setting me up with my boyfriend was probably the only nice thing she'd ever done for me. But here's where the drama starts. When my sister and Grant had been dating for about a year and Bryce and I had been dating for about 9 months, I come home early to find my little sister and Bryce together, cheating on me. Do you think I confronted them immediately? No. I needed backup. I needed Grant. I don't know why I'm making it seem like there was some good reason to not confront them immediately and call Grant. I just needed backup, okay? I could not even process what was happening. My little sister, my own sister, and my boyfriend together. So I go outside and wait for Grant, who had left work early. And when he gets there, we go inside and confront the both of them. And you know what? They dumped us. Now listen, I was already gonna dump Bryce, obviously. He cheated on me with my little sister. But he beat me to the punch. I was like, are you kidding me? You're dumping me? No, I'm dumping you. I learned 2 days later that this had actually been going on for months. They were apparently already in love, and they were now dating each other. I was broken. I knew my little sister was selfish, and I knew that she didn't really think about other people's feelings, but I never thought she would do this to me. So my little sister moves right in with Bryce, and I move back in with my parents. Where else am I supposed to go? And what was really annoying is they kept talking about how happy my little sister and Bryce were. I don't know. I think that they were trying to smooth things over. Like, listen, he wasn't your person, but he is your little sister's person. Just be happy for her. I don't care. I don't care if he's literally her soulmate. Find somebody else. And obviously, the only person that understood what I was going through was Grant. Bryce was not his brother, but they had been best friends since childhood, so the betrayal was similar. And slowly, Grant became my best friend. Like, anytime something good happened to me, he was the person I wanted to call. He was my support system. He's honestly the best person in the world. And about 8 months after we got cheated on, we started dating, which was really hard for me. Even after this whole betrayal, the thought of dating my little sister's ex, like, it was still hard because I still felt loyalty to her, even though I shouldn't. But I gave myself a little smack in the head. I was like, Kel, she's literally living in your old home with your ex-boyfriend. So you can do whatever you want. About 2 months after Grant and I officially started dating, my little sister found out that Bryce was cheating on her. And he left her for the girl that he was cheating on her with. All I'm saying is you lose them how you get them, girly. And after my little sister was dumped, about once every 2 months, she would text Grant trying to get back together with him. I'm sorry, not only did you home wreck my first relationship, now I'm healed, I'm happy, I'm in a new relationship, and you're trying to ruin that too. Grant is absolutely nothing like Bryce and never responded to my little sister and just ended up blocking her because he didn't even want to put up with the messages anymore. Flash forward to today and I have absolutely no contact with my little sister. I think that she's a terrible person and I want nothing to do with her and I don't want her in any part of my life. Last year, Grant and I got engaged and I have been planning the wedding drama-free until my mom called me last week and told me that she wouldn't come to the wedding unless my little sister was invited. In my parents' eyes, my little sister can do absolutely no wrong, and she was just so young and didn't know better. She was in her mid-20s, okay? Also, I feel like somebody that's like 12 would know better than to do that. Then my mom tells me, without your little sister, this wedding actually wouldn't even be possible because she's the one that brought Grant into your life and gave him to you. Gave him to me. Thank you. Thank you for giving me Grant. What a kind, selfless girl. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason, and Grant and I were meant to be together. I was never meant to be with Bryce, whatever, but that does not take away from the fact that my little sister is a terrible person and did something terrible to me. My little sister's never really apologized. Also, she fully tried to wreck my relationship with Grant a year after we started dating. So, make that make sense. Why would I have her at my wedding when she tried to ruin my relationship with the man I'm marrying? My mom has always been very neutral about the situation, which always made me mad because there was a clear side that you should take, mine. So I just uninvited my mom from the wedding. I was like, you know what? That was the worst time in my life. You saw how miserable I was. And the fact that you can defend her at all, disgusting. Don't come to my wedding. Right after I get off the phone with my mom, I get a very angry text message from my dad who tells me that if my mom isn't going to the wedding, he's not going to the wedding. And that I just need to get over this entire situation because my little sister and I are both in the wrong. We both did equally bad things because we both started dating each other's exes. I'm sorry. Can we rewind the tape and look at the timelines of when these relationships happen? Because I think that there's a big difference between when she started dating my ex and I started dating her ex. And that man is crazy if he thought I was ever gonna respond to that text message. And who texts me the next day but my little sister, who I haven't heard from in over 4 years. She was hitting up Grant, but not me. Didn't care about me. And do you think she was texting me to apologize, tell me she's grown, she's changed, she regrets her actions? No, she was telling me to grow up. She told me, this happened years ago, I'm not even with Bryce anymore, and you're just causing unnecessary drama in our family. Get over it, invite our parents back, and let me come. I don't know what to do because I want my parents at my wedding. Before this situation, we've always had a really good relationship, but I don't want my little sister there. I have a feeling that she would do something to try and sabotage my wedding. Obviously, Grant doesn't want her there either. It's his ex-girlfriend who cheated on him with his best friend. I don't know. Is it just worth it to avoid the drama? Let her come and ignore her the whole time? I feel like I would get sick just seeing her face. I don't know. The whole thing is a mess. After everything that went down with my parents, I was giving them the complete silent treatment. No matter how many times they would text or call me, no response. They were even texting Grant nonstop to talk to me and try to talk some sense into me. But Grant was on my side because he's a logical, reasonable person. And then out of nowhere, I guess they had a change of heart because I get a super long apology text from my mom saying that I should get to decide who's in my life. It's not up to them, and they were really sorry for the way they were behaving. Okay, amazing. Love that. And then my mom invites Grant and I over for family dinner that night. Now, I want to make clear that we do things very separate in my family. My sister and I are never at the same event. Again, we hadn't spoken in 4 years, and I do not go anywhere where she is. So by family dinner, it did not mean, the whole family. It was going to be me, Grant, and my parents. I think everything is great going back to normal. So imagine my surprise when I walk into my parents' house and I see my little sister sitting right at the dinner table with the most smug look on her face. I immediately turn around to leave, but my dad blocks the door and he's like, no, enough is enough. We need to talk and figure this out. And that's when I look over at Grant and all the color has drained from his face. He had not seen my little sister since the day we caught her and Bryce cheating on us. Seeing her automatically brought up a lot of old wounds for both of us, and we were not prepared to see her. We just got completely blindsided. And I did not go and sit down at the table, okay? I stood right there with my arms crossed right by the door. The minute my dad moved, I was out of there. The apology was actually a lie just to get Grant and I to come over, which is disgusting. Also, why would they make Grant come? There was no reason he needed to be there. I mean, there was no reason I needed to be there either, but Grant, come on. After not seeing this girl in years, you want to know the first thing she says? Grant, you look really good. I almost lost it. But thank God that Grant is a quick thinker because he responds, yeah, that's what happens when you cut all the toxic people out of your life. The look on her face, absolutely floored. I do not know if anyone has ever really talked back to her like that. Then my mom starts going on this long tangent about how important family is and how we need to set aside our differences and really come together. I mean, it was just one ear out the other. I did not care about anything she had to say because she's a liar. She's lied to me and she manipulated me to put me and my fiance in a horribly uncomfortable situation. And after my mom's speech, my little sister pipes up and she said, yeah, Kels, I'm actually ready to forgive you. Forgive me? She's like, yeah, I mean, you started dating my ex-boyfriend. If you think that what I did was messed up, I mean, like, you did the same thing. I did not do the same thing, okay? I did not do the same thing. And then she looks at Grant and is like, and Grant, we always got along so well. I feel like the two of us could get really close again. She was flirting. It was not that she was flirting with my man. And my dad has the audacity to say, Kels, as a big sister, it's your responsibility to set a good example for your little sister, and forgiving her, that's the right step. I'm sorry, I don't owe her anything. I also don't need to set an example for her anymore. She's a full adult who can make her own choices, and she makes bad ones. And that's when Grant, my golden retriever, soft-spoken fiance, turns to my dad and says, you're not going to speak to her like that. You're also not going to put us in situations that we feel uncomfortable with. I need you to move out of the door because we're leaving. Okay, that's my man. Surprisingly, my dad actually moves out of the doorway. And as we're leaving, that's when my little sister goes, babe, Grant, wait. Grant stops dead in his tracks and he says to my little sister, I've always wished you the best. Even after you hurt me, I always wanted you to be happy and do good things with your life. But then he said, after tonight, I can honestly say, I don't wish you the best. I think you're a bad person, you're bad to your core, and you don't deserve good things in life to happen to you. I have never seen Grant speak to anybody like that or stick up for himself like that, so I'm not proud of him. Now I'm getting a million texts from my parents saying that Grant needs to apologize to my little sister because the comment he made devastated her. She literally has never apologized to him for cheating on him with his best friend. Looks like our wedding will both be child-free and family-free.
Something interesting about me is that every single person in my family has had a stalker. My whole family being me, my older sister, my mom, and my dad. I didn't really put two and two together that everyone had had a stalker until my parents and my sister were trying to give me advice on my own situation that I realized, oh, so we've all dealt with a stalker before. Cool. A big difference is that both of my parents' stalkers were of the opposite gender versus me and my sister both had stalkers that were girls. So whenever I would tell this story, people would be like, hold on, she For me, it all started in my freshman year of college. She was in the same class as I was. I think her and I had a total of maybe 2 conversations, if I'm being generous. I could tell that there was something just a little bit off about her. One of the interactions I had with her, I remember it was me and one of my really good friends who was also in the class that we had together. And me and her were just looking back and forth because she was making such weird comments and just acting very strange. That was the last in-person conversation I had with her before she DM'd me asking to hang out. And obviously, based on the first interaction I had with her, I personally wasn't going to be fake or lead her on when I knew I didn't want to pursue a friendship. Months go by and she texted me asking if we could get drinks or something. It was via Instagram DM, so I just never opened the DM until a couple months later. I finally opened it and saw a massive paragraph in all caps full of rageful text. I am gonna be so honest, it was so incoherent and I couldn't even tell you what she was talking about. All I remember is responding, "I'm sorry, what?" ? And then she blocked me. At this point, I was super confused, but I was like, honestly, whatever. She clearly has something going on. I know I didn't do anything, so I just ignored it and moved past it. After this, I saw her a couple of times on and around campus, and she did not look well. Her hair was like matted, her skin was so dry and peeling off. I don't know what it was, but she just looked so not okay, like she was not taking care of herself. And every time I saw her, she avoided eye contact, she didn't look at me, she completely avoided me and ignored me. I just left her alone. If she was gonna leave me alone, I was gonna leave her alone. Summer came, I thought it was all over until about the middle of summer, I started receiving texts ranging from people who I went to high school with all the way in California and people who I had never even spoke to in my college. At one point, I started to get anywhere from like 5 to 10 per day of people just sending me screenshots that this girl had DM'd them or Snapchatted them or whatever. And the text was pretty much copied and pasted to everyone. But she was basically saying that I was stalking her and hacking into all of her social media accounts, and that she had a lawyer, and that I was spreading rumors about her, and that she was really scared. At this point, I felt it was necessary to reach out to the police at my school, which I did, and when I gave them a call, I explained the situation, and they said, yeah, so we've actually heard from her as well. When I tell you my jaw dropped to the floor, and I said, I'm sorry, she's reached out to you? I'm gonna give this girl the benefit of the doubt. I definitely think she was going through something, and I definitely think that she had some mental issues. Part of me is like, maybe she honestly did think I was stalking her. But obviously, like, I know myself, I was not stalking her. The reason that the police never reached out to me after she contacted them is because she gave them no evidence and was unable to support any of her claims. Me, on the other hand, you best believe I was screenshotting every single thing that everyone was sending me and just making sure that I had something to support everything I was claiming. And so after that, they could kind of tell that I was in the right and she was going through something. I was able to get a no contact order, but unfortunately that didn't stop her. She continued to reach out to people, as well as she started posting publicly on her social media pages for everyone to see. And so I had to contact a department at my school in which we had a hearing, and we both gave testimonies, and I think that's the right word, testimonies. We both spoke about our experiences and had to present evidence. The result of this hearing, I was only able to get back my verdict, but I had no idea what they decided as a verdict for her, if that makes sense. I was found not guilty of everything she was accusing me from, but I have no idea if they found her guilty of whatever I was accusing her from. They didn't tell me that. However, after this hearing, I was super happy because I thought it had all been resolved. But unfortunately, it did not stop. She continued posting and texting people. Every single time someone sent me a new screenshot of something that she had posted, I would send it straight over to my school and to the police. I remained silent. I didn't talk back. I just said thank you to the people who were sending me the screenshots, but I never posted anything about her. I never contacted her. I never tried to see her. At a certain point, I was like, nothing is being done, until one day it literally just randomly stopped. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it just stopped. I don't think that she still attends the school. I think she left. I hope she's getting mental help. Even if she still is at the school, I don't care. Peace is peace. So I'm happy.
I was so petty in high school. I used to fart in front of the bitches I didn't like. Let me explain. Imagine a bad bitch walking in the hallways and like I noticed that there was a bitch that I didn't like behind me. And let me just say that people who I didn't like in high school were because they would give me bad vibes or they would just be rude to me and shit. So like it wasn't like I was just a mean girl and I wanted to fart in front of bitches. No. Like this particular girl would say a lot of comments to me, a lot of backhanded comments like, oh, you think you're all that and you're not, like that type of shit. So I didn't like this girl. This is how it usually would go. I would be in the hallway. There would be a lot of people. Like the hallways in my high school was very small. And I would usually be serving every day, like serving looks. Okay, and bitches would obviously not think it was me. Like, you know what I mean? And the reason I would do it is because bitches think they're the shit and they're not even the fart. So smell my fart, bitch. Like, and then another thing I would do is I would create fake Instagram accounts to catch my friend's man cheating. Let me tell y'all. And it was actually sad, like most of them fell for this fake like girl. Like honestly, it's pretty pathetic that men are just so easy. Like they're so fucking easy. It's so funny because men literally love to shame women for being so easy, but they're the easiest actually. Basically my friend and her man have been going through a lot of like rough times. He was looking at other girls, like he has a wandering eye and he likes other bitches' photos. So she always felt like she had to like look out and see if her man was cheating or feel like she had to go through his phone like to see like just shit like that. Like if you feel like you need to like basically babysit a man, just don't be with him. But anyways, back to the story. He was also very sneaky with his phone, which I already tell y'all, like if he's sneaky with his phone, that's weird. But anyways, basically made a whole page of this random girl. She was super cute, super fly, right? And I made sure that she followed like people from my school so it seemed real. So it wouldn't be weird if she just randomly followed him, and that's what she did. And guess what? Thought basically messaged her first. Like I didn't have to message him first. He messaged her first. What a thought, like honestly. And while this was happening, my friend already knew. Like she knew every step. And I told this girl, I was like, girl, don't tell him anything. Like we have to see how far we can take it. And let's see how grimy this man really is. How trifling this man really is. He was basically asking her to go on FaceTime and call him and shit like that. And I had to make up excuses and shit. So yeah. While they were literally dating, he wanted to talk to another bitch. You're fucked up. And I'm a mind of a mastermind. So I thought, I was like, girl, like let's trick him to like drive like 2 hours away or 3 hours away. And she was like on board with it too. So we basically told him like, if you want to see me or talk to me, you have to meet me. Like I live like 4 hours away, like over here. So like, let's see each other. And his thirsty ass obviously went along with it because he's thirsty. And my friend was even saying like, oh, insinuate that you're gonna sleep with him. Like, let's see if he actually would really cheat on me. And that's what I did. And guess what he did? He wanted to meet up with her. Okay. And all during this time while he's talking freaky to Miss Girl was literally on FaceTime with him. While he was talking freaky to this fake Insta thought. Like, I don't know how my friend did it. But I don't know how she stayed so cool. This particular day where he was gonna go see the fake Instagram girl, he actually had planned a date with my friend and he basically canceled on her. And that just basically reassured her that this man isn't shit. Like, and he was texting for the address and guess where I sent him? Guess where I sent this man? I sent this man to a Planned Parenthood 4 hours away because he's a thought. Okay. And I just want to clarify, when he was talking freaky, I would literally screenshot it and send it to my friend and we were both basically laughing at him. And it's so funny because when I sent him that address, my friend was with me because I was like, oh, let's laugh at him together. So she came to my house and as soon as he got to that Planned Parenthood, we basically blocked him. And like that fake number that we gave him from like Text Now, and he was blowing that hoe up. And I told my friend like, it would be so funny if you answer one of these phone calls, like, and she basically did, and she literally went off on him. Like,
things I think you should know to stay safe that maybe no one ever told you, taught you, or talked to you about. Number one, because it just pops up in my head, never go to a car wash in the evening or at night. You know, like the ones at the gas station that you drive through. Somebody could be in between the sides of like while your car is going through really slow getting washed, and they could carjack you. Anything could happen. So just don't do it. This next one sucks, but most recently I've seen someone talk about this and I was like, stop talking to strangers, stranger danger. There are people that are recruited as like employees for the trafficking world, and a lot of them are recruited as women because they come off as unsuspecting and they talk to you while you're in Target shopping for tissue paper. They talk to you while you're at the grocery store buying the taco meat for your tacos tonight. Yeah. When you get approached by somebody in an instance where you didn't ask them to tell you, oh my God, your hair's so pretty. What do you put on it? Oh my gosh, what sweatshirt is that? Just be like, da-da-da, bye, and move away from the aisle. Go to a whole nother aisle. And okay, hey, maybe they weren't a weirdo. Maybe they aren't trafficking, but it's not worth you trying to figure that out. You know, when you're doing valet, make sure that you're taking your car key off of the little ring that you have for all other keys. Do not underestimate. I'm from California, where there's a trillion hustles. You should not underestimate that there's someone behind that venue in a big old van that has a key copier. They take down all your information, your place, etc., and they got a cousin that works at the DMV to run your information, and then before you know it, weeks later, you're robbed. If you go to a certain school, work at a certain hospital, etc., probably not the brightest idea to leave your little like information tag in your like car dashboard area and drive around the city and everywhere else and not take it out, because all that tells somebody is where you go every day, how to find you next after you leave the grocery store. It's not smart. Just stop doing it. This one's not a blanket statement, but just keep it in mind. Always do your best to get receipts, because there are some establishments that have managers and employees who like to rob their customers. You'll pay for something for $12 and they'll go, you want your receipt? And you say no. And you'll never know that your card was charged $35, $40, because they know every day that their cash register always ends up being short. And that's how they're saving the difference. Or they're just flat out robbing everybody that says no to a receipt. Get your receipt. When you get new tags on your car, again, this is another California, if you know, you know. Make sure that you are scraping through it with a knife or your key to make sure that no one can simply just pull it off. You probably heard of that one. When living alone as a woman, probably not the best idea when you're in a large apartment complex or even a small one to put a doormat outside your door, anything that's cutesy and girly, even if it's neutral and not girly, because it allows people who are in the industry of kidnapping people and doing crimes to know there's a woman that lives there. Yeah, that one sucks. Another one that sucks. If you have a camera in your home, make sure to remember that while you're in your home, it's either turned off, facing the wall, there's no audio on it, because there are such things as people that can hack into Wi-Fi's just for shits and giggles. And people do this like they go to school or watch cartoons. And they just watch and listen to people all the time through their cameras while you're at home. So keep that in mind. When traveling abroad within states, wherever you are, be very wary with telling employees on the property of the resort of where you're at what room you're staying in. There are employees that work for crime organizations to, again, traffic, kidnap. Don't do it. Another one with traveling. When you travel, especially as a woman, you need to book and state that there's a man's name on the reservation. And when you get into that room, you need to make sure that you check everything. Make sure nobody's hiding in cubbies and closets. And always bring a door stopper that has an alarm on it. So if someone does break in, as soon as they open that door, an alarm that is going to wake up the entire globe is going to be set off. Always make sure that you have enough gas in your tank for your car. At night specifically. You never know what could happen. You could be driving home from your parents' house and you notice you've got a quarter of a tank. You're like, oh, I'll make it. It's only 30 minutes. I know my car. It's not about not knowing your car. It's about now you're paying attention to someone's tailing you. Every move you make, they make. What happens when you realize your car's going to run out of gas? If they're continuously following you and they're making every move and they're letting you know, yes, we're following you, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because when you stop, what happens? Always make sure you have gas in your car, okay? Always.
My dad's 28-year-old girlfriend has started momming me. Now, maybe for a helpful reference, I'm 26 years old, so this woman is only 2 years older than me. And when my dad first introduced her to the entire family, he said that she was 34, but I internet sleuthed that because she did not look that old. I was like, I need to know who does your Botox, because if you're really 34, you look great. And yeah, she wasn't 34. Actually, the first time I met this woman, she was only 24 years old and I was 22. Her and my dad dated, and then they broke up for 2 years, and I thought that was the end of her. I was never going to see that woman again, thank goodness. But no, guess who turned up at my Thanksgiving dinner this year? Unannounced, unexpected, my sister. I mean, like stepmom, I don't know. Obviously, it's always been a little bit of a weird dynamic between the two of us because she's practically my age and dating my father. But we've always managed to just get away with some polite small talk. I've never really tried to get to know her much. Can you blame me? And normally she just minds her own business. She just kind of stays near my dad and knows the situation is weird. But that all changed during our family vacation this weekend. My dad, my sister, and I always go to his cabin one weekend out of the year just to hang out, catch up. It's a cute little family tradition. But imagine my surprise when I pulled up and I saw none other than my dad's girlfriend. It grosses me out to even say that, considering the age. There. Like, we didn't get any warning. None. He did not tell us she was coming. And honestly, if he wanted to bring her, fine. That's his choice. He can do whatever he wants. But at least let us know so you don't just blindside us. And let's be honest, I could never imagine this woman spending an entire weekend in the woods. She's basically my dad's sugar baby. He does every single thing for her, pays all of her bills. He buys her everything that she wants. She only wears designer things, drives a really nice car that my dad bought. My dad never bought my sister and I a car nearly that nice. She basically lives this life of luxury on my dad's dime. That girl looked like a baby deer getting out of the car and trying to walk over all of the dirt and the leaves in her Louboutins. Like, girly, I love Louboutins, but there's a time and a place for those, and a cabin in the woods is not that time or that place. And immediately, like right when we get inside the cabin, she starts being really weird and just making it clear that my sister and I are from totally different generations than her. For example, she was explaining to us what Vine was. She was like, ugh, back in my day when we had Vine and not TikTok, ugh, it was the best. I wish you had a chance to experience it. I was like, yeah, I mean, I did experience it. I had Vine. We're the same age. Then later, my sister and I were just making fun of each other, as sisters do, poking fun at each other, laughing, having a good time. She comes in from the other room and goes, girls, stop it, in a super disciplinarian tone. I was like, so, who are you talking to? Which girls are you talking to? Because you cannot possibly be talking to me and my sister. I guess she thought my sister and I were in a fight or something, but we could not even help it. We burst out laughing. It was absolutely ridiculous. She was acting like we were 7-year-olds fighting over a toy or something. Then, when my sister is going to take a shower, she practically body slams her out of the way and is like, wait, before you shower, let me explain to you how the shower works, because it can be really confusing. This is our family cabin that we've lived in for weekends at a time for years since we were little girls, and we know how the shower works. But that's what she would do. She would just talk to us like we were an idiot the entire weekend about actually everything. She made it seem like we were 7 years old and didn't know how anything would work. She also kept referring to my sister and I as the girls. Like, don't the girls just look so cute tonight? Always cute. Never pretty, beautiful, anything. Cute. The girls look cute tonight. Look. The craziest thing that she did, and what got us into a fight, is when my sister and I were watching a movie at about 10:30 p.m. on Saturday night. And she waltzes into the living room and says, okay, girls, it's time for bed. Time for bed? Since when did I have a bedtime? And I am still trying to be nice to the girl, okay, for my dad's sake. So I say, oh, we're just finishing up this movie and then we're going to head to bed. And she said, no, that's not what I said. I said it's time for bed right now. It's time for the adults to be awake right now and have some adult time without the kids around. Adults? The kids? You're 2 years older than me. You were dating my dad when you were younger than me. But I lose it at this point. I look at her and I say, you can play house, you can leech off my dad, but don't come in here and patronize me and my sister. I told her, I do not want to be in a fight with you, and I promise you, that is not a fight that you want to pick or that you would win. She goes right off crying to my dad about how mean I was to her. Like, girl, I have been nice to you for years, even though the situation is weird. So you should be lucky this is the first time I actually went at you. I don't know what to do at this point because it seems like ignoring her isn't an option anymore. The pick-me girl says that she's pregnant and that my husband is the father. So of course I ruined her life. Story time. So me and my husband, who we will call Steve, have a great marriage. There was just one little problem that kept popping up, and that was his girl best friend, Amy. Literally at the beginning of the relationship, I was like, Steve, you need to get more friends. Get a man best friend, I don't fucking know. However, when we first met, Amy had a very serious boyfriend, and that did make me feel a little bit better about the whole situation. And one day he gets a call from Amy out the blue. I could tell that something seriously wrong had happened just from what he was saying over the phone. He went into our bedroom and closed the door to take this call. So when he came out, I'm like, what's going on? Is everything okay? And this is when he told me that Amy's boyfriend had broken up with her. It's probably because she's in love with you, Steve. Amy was basically demanding that Steve would go round to her house. And listen, I'm trying to get on the good side of this girl because I don't want her screwing me over. So I'm like, go, be there for your friend. I said, listen, I can come too as well. I can be there for like a girl to girl energy. And Steve's like, no, I think it would be best if you stayed at home. He said, don't worry, I won't be long. I beg you guess how long I waited for this motherfucker to get home. 7 hours. 7 hours I've been folding these fucking birds, and then he walks out all nonchalant. I hope someone gets that reference. He crawls into bed at 2 a.m. stinking of alcohol. Can I just ask, where are Amy's friends? Does she have any? Now, I thought this would be the end of these shenanigans. You know, her mum would take over any friends that she has. But no. These shenanigans went on for the next 4 days. So one night, I'm like, listen, Steve, this is absolutely ridiculous now. If Amy needs support that much, she can come over to our house. So he decides to invite her over for dinner. Whoop-de-doo. She was flirting with Steve non-stop, just in front of me. Steve would tell a joke and she would laugh extra hard. And Steve isn't that funny. She'd be like, ah, toss. Amy, stop throwing your hair around. She'd keep touching his leg, touching his arm. When the time came for her to finally get out of my house, I made it very clear to the both of them that I was very, very angry. So I'm like, Steve, what was that? Steve says to me, I didn't want to reject her advances because she's already going through a tough time. What do you mean, Steve? Now, the next day, I'm at work and I get a random text from Amy, and Amy does not text me. It is a picture of a positive pregnancy test. I'm positively sure that's not my Steve's baby. I immediately call Steve because I know this girl is batshit crazy. Steve was absolutely adamant that this baby was not his. Steve calls Amy and is like, listen, what are you doing? What is happening here? Amy's like, oh, remember the night you came over and you stayed for a while? We basically slept together and I think we may be having a child together now. Now, we start looking into paternity tests for Steve. We found out that you can actually get a paternity test within the first trimester, and as soon as we told Amy this piece of information, she's like, oh, you know, it could be my ex's baby, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, after that comment, we knew for a fact that this was not Steve's baby and nothing had happened here. So I decided that I was gonna send Amy a little text. I said, listen, babe, I know you're going through a really, really tough time right now, but just because you're not having a great time does not mean you need to go ahead and try and ruin my marriage. Steve has never, nor will ever love you, and unfortunately, he has chosen to marry me. So I decided to show Steve this text as soon as I could, just so she couldn't twist the narrative. And now Steve has fallen out with me, telling me that I've been way too harsh and I'm not very understanding and that I've knocked a girl when she was already down. So what do you think? Did I take it too far, or was I doing the right thing and protecting my relationship?